Alright, this video is going to be a complete guide to Counter-Strike. It's going to be impossible to go too in-depth, of course, but this video should provide a good overview. So if you're already familiar with Counter-Strike, but you've never actually played it, or you used to play Counter-Strike, but you haven't played it in years, then this video should be a good level to catch you up on what Counter-Strike is like in 2024. I've been playing this game about 20 years, since the original retail version. Before that, there were some beta versions. This was a gold source mod for the Half-Life game. And Valve Software, in their typical style at the time, bought the intellectual property and hired the developers to come work for Valve. And so now Valve owns Counter-Strike and has developed it for the past 20 years. They released a retail product called Condition Zero, which wasn't really well received at the time, but it's actually pretty solid in retrospect, especially the deleted scenes. Those are pretty fun missions to play there, single player. Then they moved to the Source engine with Counter-Strike Source, which a lot of people look back on fondly if that was their first Counter-Strike, but to fans of the older game, it was never really good. And so that created kind of a dual scene at the time where there was tournaments going on in both games. So eventually they released Counter-Strike Go, which kind of unified the scenes. Everybody started playing Counter-Strike Go. And that lasted from 2012 until late last year when it was upgraded into Counter-Strike 2. It's currently booming right now. Number one played game on Steam. Players in game right now, 600,000 people in game right now. There's a nice 24-hour peak because there's some new content added today. And just year-over-year growth, unlike almost any other esport. That's, really healthy scene, really healthy competitive scene. It has its ups and downs in games, but it's just the game of a lifetime for a lot of people, and it's definitely never too late to jump into Counter-Strike. So Counter-Strike Go was originally a retail product. It cost $15, and it was converted to a free-to-play model about 10 years ago. And the people who originally bought it received the Prime status upgrade, and now that is only purchasable for $15. What the Prime status gets you is matches with people with Prime status. And so without Prime status, you only get matches generally with people without Prime status, which generally is garbage matches, where you're going to see a lot more hackers and noobs and stuff checking out the game. So it's not unplayable, but definitely the best experience comes from getting the Prime status. So I would really look at this game as free to try, and then it costs $15. Additionally, when you have Prime status, you earn item drops in-game. If you're playing regularly, you'll earn once a week, you'll have a drop, and you'll have the choice of two things between a case, a skin, and 2 graffiti sprays. And we'll go into those things, but generally you're going to take the case and the skin, and you can resell those cases if you want on the market and make some of your money back pretty quick there. A couple of bucks a week even. So it's definitely worth it to get the Prime status if you're playing any sort of regular games at all. But I would look at it as free to try. Check it out. See if you're liking the game, what it is now. So let's talk about skins. So this is a site, CS2, csgostash.com. I'll put a link in the description, of course. And I like this site because you can browse all the skins. This is the newest case that just dropped a few weeks ago, and the skins that are in that case, they're arranged by rarities with these gold items. So the knives, they released this new knife, the kukri knife, and there's a bunch of other knives available as well already in the game. These red rarities are the next highest rarities followed by these pinks and purples and blues. So this is one of the cases that you can get dropped in game. Like I said, you'll get one drop per week. That's where all the cases come from. So that does some interesting things to the economy. The more people that are playing, the more cases that'll be dropped. The more people that are opening cases, the higher the price will be. These are bought and sold as commodities on the market. So you can see their price, what they're selling for and buying for. So initially pretty high as it was released, kind of steadying out to a normal price here. And you can see this trades that are going on in real time here. The way it works is there's 5 active cases right now. The Kilowatt case, Dreams and Nightmares, Fracture, Recoil, and Revolution. And you have a 99% chance of getting one of those cases. So you have 1/5 of 99% chance of getting each of those. And these will rotate out into the rare cases. These are like old cases that used to be in the game. And you have a 1% chance of getting these cases. And there's something like 20 of these cases. So you have 1/20th of 1% chance of getting one of these cases. So these cases, you'll see that the skins are getting higher price because they're more rare. Nobody's opening these cases because they don't get dropped anymore. But occasionally they do still get dropped. Okay, so in addition to the one case that you can get per week in your weekly drop, you also get one skin. The skins come from these collections here. It just depends on the collection, how rare it is. A lot of these will be cheaper, but the ones that don't get dropped anymore will be more expensive because they're more rare. These ones are only available without the stat track. The ones in the cases, 1 in 6 of them will be stat track. So stat track is 6 times more rare, but it's not really desirable. So it's not 6 times more expensive, necessarily. If we look at these skins, and we'll look in game a bit too, here we see an animation playing out of the different possible skin wear levels. For this particular item here, it can have between 0 and 0.8. That is the amount of damage that it has. You see it'll show more and more wear depending on that float value there. This floating point number there, called the float, is how much wear there is on the skin. However much wear it has when it's opened from the case is how much it's always going to have. You don't add additional wear on it by using it or anything like that. There's no way to make it more or less conditioned like that. You can't put any more or less wear on it. This distribution is not flat. It's like a normal distribution. So most of the skins are going to be in this middle range here. And it gets increasingly rare as you get closer to the edges here. So they can be valuable skins for being really low float or really high float. Generally, the low floats are more desirable and worth more. But some of the skins really change as they go in a higher float. And so sometimes the high floats can be desirable too. But sometimes it just kind of looks scuffed and chipped. It just depends on the type of skins and like the, I guess, materials that are involved and how it's done. We got this wooden looking one. It's getting a little darker. Oh, and then it gets scratched up on the metal. Eventually rusts on the top at the lowest levels there. So different effects with the skins. And then with the newest case, there's just that much more going on with it. Alright, so here's how these skins look in game. Some really cool effects with this reflective gold here. I think this will look good on my agent there. Alright, and this is my CT agent. It's customizable, so yeah, let's also cover that. So we got agents. Where are our agents here? Agents, yeah. So customizable characters. These are the available agents here. Some of these going up in price lately, but not all of them are necessarily expensive. Yeah, there's my CT agent there. It's only $4 there. And $22 now for that T agent. So a really cool thing that they've added in the game. Purely cosmetic. Well, not... Alright, so a little controversial. It's in a sense, this is purely cosmetic, but in reality, it's not, because you can just disguise on different maps differently, and the hitboxes are maybe a little bit different, maybe. So there maybe is advantages to different agents. So at a high competitive level, pro players don't use custom agent skins, but at all other levels, custom agent skins are just kind of cool. Alright, so a few more things here to cover. There's gloves that they added now. So different gloves available in-game. Again, different price points depending mostly on how cool they are. You can take a look at these in-game. I've got these gold ones. Goes with the rest of my stuff. I think it looks pretty good. These are Broken Fang Jade gloves, which might look good with some other stuff. So, again, cosmetics. It's just something fun here. But something essential here that I haven't discussed here is, unlike skins in almost any other game, these can be bought and sold. So almost any other game, you buy a skin, you're just kind of unlocking it on your account, and then you have access to that skin. Here, these, you know, as much as it's a cringe thing to say, it's more like an NFT or something like that, where you own it digitally, and then you sell it when you want to. And the price, you know, the price has changed, so it's a lot like owning stock, and some people treated it a lot like that. We can go to Steam here. There's one of these available for sale. So it's pretty low volume here, so there's not a whole lot of price history going on, but you can look here. I'll also note I've got some extensions included in here just to show the float and some other information here on the Steam market pages here. So another aspect of this is that there are different patterns available. So in some skins it doesn't make too much of a difference, and in other skins it makes quite a bit of difference of what pattern the skin is. So I was trying to think of one that might have a good pattern offhand, but even these old school ones here that are relatively low value, if we look at some of these on the Steam market here, again, I've got this extension that shows the paint seed here. So we'll look here. This is paint seed 498. And we'll look at that one in game here, just as a reference. Alright, and we see this AK-47's Fire Mesh from the Dust 2 collection. So again, this is a pretty low value skin. But if we look at the way this camouflage here is applied, I always find it interesting to see it resembles the way it's applied in real life with a base coat and this kind of thing put over it, and then what do they do, like a mesh over top of it that they then peel off to reveal the undercoat or something. So interesting to see what's going on with that. But if we look, deep in the specifics here, I don't know offhand on this one, but we got like this greenish block here, split by these mesh patterns here on the buttstock there. And if we look at this next one here, this is Paint Seed 265. This is still the old one here. Let's see when it refreshes here. Yeah, so this is another pattern here. So here we've only got this little green triangle here, mostly this tan color on the buttstock, and then brown up here, for example. So there's, in a lot of the skins, it doesn't make much difference at all. It's just kind of personal preference, what kind of colors you want, what looks good to you. And so that's just another thing worth noting here, is that essentially all the skins are different. That's a bit of an overstatement, but not by much. There's 999 patterns, and that skin wear rating is not always unique, but generally pretty unique. So pretty unlikely we're gonna have too many duplicates. So you can think about it as each one's kind of unique, and that's again different than most skins in most other games, where it's just the skin is just that skin. It would just be the Safari mesh skin. It doesn't have this aspect of the amount of wear on it or the pattern that it is. Okay, so there's other aspects here. So we got stickers. I got a sticker here. I actually want to apply this one, and I want to apply it to my what is this, the M249. So I don't know, maybe here would look pretty good. I've got one sticker on there already, this little Aztec icon there. And we're going to put this one here, this shiny hollow cobblestone one there. Oop, that's not what I want. So previously there was 4 preset slots that you could put skins on a rifle, but recently it's opened it up, so now you can put a skin anywhere you want on the gun, which is really cool, unlocking a lot of cool potential stuff here. And you can put up to 5 stickers on a gun now. Stickers come from sticker capsules, which generally cost $1, go on sale, go out of sale. And there's again different rarity levels of stickers, and once they become off sale, they generally don't come back on sale. And so the sticker quantities that's available total always goes down as people apply them. Once you apply the sticker, you can't remove it. So the number of stickers just goes down, the supply goes down, and demand will go up, the price will go up. Okay, so I'm going to apply the sticker here, I think. Maybe a little more centered. Alright, so we confirm position there, and apply it there. Sticker applied. On my one and only Aztec. If you know, you know. Alright. Now, I can inspect here. Check out my sticker placement. That looks pretty good. what I'm going to do here is scrape that sticker. Select the sticker I want to scrape, that one. And I'm going to scrape it repeatedly. Because I heard that there's an Easter egg. Yeah, look at that. It says Aztec. As I scrape it, it reveals Aztec. I'm going to scrape it a bit more, I think. That's why I put this sticker on this gun. Maybe one more scrape. I think it'll go black and white. Maybe one more scrape. I don't want to lose where it says Aztec. There we go. Oh, that's perfect. Alright, I got another Aztec sticker on my Aztec themed weapon here. That looks great. I'm going to close. How good does that look? So that's stickers being applied and scraped. Generally, you do not want to scrape your stickers. That'll lower the value. But in some cases, there's these Easter eggs and stuff like that. But if you think it looks better, a little scraped up to match a scraped up gun, you know, it's just aesthetics. It's up to you. Generally, applying the sticker is going to lose a lot of the value like a used car because you can't unapply it. You'd have to sell this all together now. So, something to be aware of. You know, nothing flex, but let's look at some stickers that look really cool here. And some old stuff here. Deagle $5 stickers. That's the fun of stickers and skins. Okay, so let's talk about graffitis. That was the other thing I said you get. Once a week you get dropped. And you have the option of taking 2 graffitis. Generally your graffitis are going to be lower value for money wise. So unless there's a graffiti you want, if there's a graffiti you want, just take the graffiti. So they come in these capsules. It's sealed like this, and you open it. You can only open it one time. So I unseal this graffiti, and now I have it equipped in my inventory. I have 50 charges remaining of it. And some of the old school players just got bummed out. Like, what? You got limited number of graffitis. Back in the day, you could just spray graffitis wherever you wanted, and that was just part of the game. But we all know that there were some problems with that when people figured out how to upload whatever they wanted as their graffitis. You could have obscene graffitis. You could have misleading in the gameplay, which is something Valve really didn't like. So now you can't upload your own pictures. You only get the ones dropped from Valve. But there's a lot of cool graffitis. So it's really not bad at all. I'm a big fan of stuff like this. You drop this on somebody, it's a nice little taunt. I've near used up by 50. So it can happen, but 50 will last you a long time on that, and then you can get these for about 5 or 10 cents on the market. Real money. So, let's jump in game here. Let's go to Inferno. And this will just load up a map with bots, I think. Yeah, so there's me in my custom agent skin there. Rumors we're gonna get skins for the bomb. Got inspect animations now, so you can look at your skins here. So let's see. I want to mention they added a couple guns, not many. And most of the guns they added, like a couple SMGs and stuff that you don't even notice. You'd really have to think about what was there before or not. They just kind of filled it out. One of the few guns they added with new mechanics is this Revolver. When you hold down the button, it doesn't fire immediately. There's that clicking, and it takes 1/3 of a second, 0.33 seconds to fire the gun. So it gets really difficult to hit a moving target sometimes if you can't fire it instantly. So it's a new mechanic for Counter-Strike, but it's perfect because if you don't like it, you just don't use it. And anybody uses it against you, it's just kind of harder for them to use it against you, so it doesn't hurt you in any way. So something to check out there and play with. It's really perfectly done, in my opinion, how Valve managed to actually add a new mechanic into the shooting of Counter-Strike that doesn't really break anything for anybody else. Who cares? Oopsie, I missed it. It's hard. You hold still, it's real easy to hit the revolver shots. Oh, boom. Boom! Boom! Pretty easy to ace some bots here. The bots are pretty bad, not gonna lie. But, yeah, so another gun they added is the Zeus. The Zeus, you hit your knife key again there, and you get this taser. I forgot I made mine say this, but that's cool too. You can do stuff with stickers. If you put a sticker on a default skin like this, you can't ever sell it. These are cheap stickers though. These are like 3-cent stickers, so it's no big deal. But something to keep in mind. But now there is one Zeus skin available now, and it's a Zeus. Oh, I thought I had him there. All right, so well, I can control these bots too, I think. Yeah. Where'd my Zeus go? I was showing that off. I guess I don't get to pick it up if there's a gun picked up there too. But Zeus now recharges after 30 seconds. And it's a guaranteed kill if you hit it. It's usually pretty easy to hit it from that kind of range. So, let's see, we've got, I should talk about, we'll go into Loadout in a bit here. I was definitely going to show off our sprays here, so now we got the spray in game here, you drop it, that's, you know, how you'd expect it to work there, and now it's counting down to when I can spray it again, and I got 49 more sprays there. So, it feels like it feels bad compared to how the sprays used to be, but it really is not so bad. There's some fun ones here and some nice ones you can get. So you just enjoy it as it is. And again, you get them dropped for free once you get the prime. So it's a good system there. So we got smoke grenades, which can now be cleared out by regular grenades. And you can punch a hole there to see through the smoke. And you can also shoot holes through the smoke now. This is a recent addition as of last year. Utility is a big part of the game. Blocking off angles like this so they can't see where you're coming. Or they can't easily attack through. So, one important thing about Counter-Strike is that if I just point this gun at the wall and hold down the trigger and... Oh, let me get this guy here. Oh, I should have tased him. Oh, it's so bad. Alright, so if I were to just point my gun at the wall and hold down and fire my gun without moving my mouse hand at all. In a lot of games, it would just create a random pattern in kind of a circle around where I'm aiming. But in Counter-Strike, what happens is, without moving my mouse, sprays in this pattern. It goes up, and then over the other way. And the same thing happens every time. So up, over, makes the T shape. Right, so it's the same consistent shape each time. So what this means is if I move my mouse down, it'll compensate for that. So I can move my mouse down and fire in a smaller pattern there. Since it's the same pattern each time, with practice and skill, it's possible to fire all 30 bullets into the same hole there. But with just a little bit of practice, you can drop your bursts into a small pattern there just by moving your mouse down a little bit. Counter-Strike players generally play at a lower sensitivity than arena shooters or something like that. You want to be able to turn around 180 on your mouse pad easily, but you don't need much more than that. So maybe even a third of the sensitivity you might see in an arena shooter, where you're used to being able to jump around and do 360s and stuff. Much lower sensitivity helps you control the sprays.
Let's set this place on fire.
Not so bad, but I'm bad. Oh, that was bad. What's he doing?
I'm setting the bomb.
So yeah, that's how spray patterns work in Counter-Strike. Again, you want to just become familiar with it through play, and you're compensating for that upward motion of the recoil. Oh, I'm out of bullets here. Tase this guy. Oh, I missed my tase again. I'm not making a very good case for using a taser, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, so if we think about how this map is laid out, we've got the... I don't think I can... What's my map key? Alright. Yeah, so we can see that the terrorists start here on the left side of this map, and the CTs start over here on the right side of the map. There's two bomb sites, A and B, located on either side. Oh, I gotta move with the bomb there. So there's this route here called Banana, because it's shaped like a banana, that goes up to B. And then there's this route here, like Apartments, that goes up to A. So there's like direct routes to either site there. And then there's also a middle area here, which can be controlled by either team. And if you control the middle, then you have better access around to either site. That's the same kind of pattern that you see on nearly every Counter-Strike map. It's called a 3-lane map, because it's kind of reducible to 1, 2, 3 lanes on that are controlled. So your general defense as a CTs is going to be put 2 people at one site, 2 people at the other site, and then have 2 people control mid. The problem there is that Counter-Strike is played 5-on-5, and that was 6 people that I listed there. So somebody's going to be playing alone, or a lot of these maps are designed that you can cover like a site and mid from one spot. So that's part of the game. Teamwork, communication. Oh.
Fire in the hole.
Big emphasis here on these simple mechanics. You know, it might seem like a lot if it's new to you, but it's really not. The primary weapon, secondary weapon, your knife, a taser if you want one, a few different types of grenades available, and that's it. Compared to a game like Overwatch or Valorant or something like that, there's just so much more going on with abilities. Here, everybody's the same. The two sides are not the same as far as the weapons. The CTs have a different weapon selection than the Ts, but largely symmetrical game and between everybody.
Throwing flashbang.
Oh, what's this guy doing? Spots are so bad.
Gonna plant.
So, that's kind of the idea of the 3-lane map. that's the basis for most maps. There, you know, Nuke is kind of almost an exception, Overpass, but, you know, I'll talk about the maps here in a minute here. But that's kind of the idea behind the game and the round and the teams and how the game is played out. We've got 2 teams starting on either side of the map.
Right there, yeah.
CTs initially have coverage of the sites. Ts have to fight for the control of that area and eventually plant in either one of the sites. Bomb time right now, I believe, is 45 seconds. CTs can defuse in 10 seconds. They can buy a kit to defuse in 5 seconds. Our round time is 1 minute 55 seconds, but the timer will stop if the bomb is placed. So CTs will win if the time runs out. Either team can win ahead of that if they kill the other team, but if the bomb is placed, then CTs have to defuse it to win. Even if they kill all the Ts, the bomb goes off. They still lose. Line up for me. Yeah, bots are so easy. Alright, so I think that was mainly what I wanted to talk about here in game here. Let's drop out back to the menu here. Look at our loadout. This is something, this is, you know, relatively new idea here. So initially, instead of being able to buy every weapon, now you have this palette of weapons available for you to buy in-game. And again, as I mentioned, it's a different palette for the Ts and the CTs. So they have a different starting pistol. The Ts start with the Glock. CT start with either the USPS or the P2000 is the other one that they can start with. That's one of the new guns that they added. So just a personal preference, whichever one you want, try them out. And then there's several other pistols available. The classic dualies, 5.7's pretty strong. Desert Eagle with the one-shot headshots, and then the revolver that I mentioned there too. So you get to choose your starting pistol and then 4 other pistols, and those are going to be available to you your first round, as you start out with $800 in your first round. That's why it's called the pistol round, because the only things you can buy is your pistols, maybe a couple grenades, and maybe armor, but no helmet. But then as you get into the later rounds, you move to the higher level weapons. So the way the game is now is 12 round halves. You play 12 rounds as one side and swap halves 12 rounds on the other half. Until recently it was 15 rounds, which kind of makes a difference in the economy. With 12 rounds in the game now, each round is weighted much more. So it becomes more important to fight for each round, rather than dedicating a round to save all your money, which was more common in the 15-round halves. As a new player, don't worry too much about that. Just try and do the same thing that your team is doing. If your team is all saving your money, don't buy a gun that round. And if your team is all buying, then you want to buy as much as you can that round. There's also kind of a half buy situation where you'll end up buying these mid-tier weapons, typically, and trying to fight for the round anyways. Again, just try and follow along with your team. It depends on how much money you have. If you win the round, you get $3,200, and if you lose, you get $1,400, I think. I'll put that in the description. And each subsequent round that you lose, you gain an additional $500 on top of that. So your loss bonus will increase as you keep losing rounds, and it doesn't reset to 0 by winning a round. It just lowers down to 1 level. So if you're losing, you'll get more and more money, but it's still, you don't have enough money to just buy everything each round. As a T, your full buy is going to be an AK-47, armor, and a helmet, which is $1,000. And then typically some grenades, maybe an HE, a flash, a smoke, and maybe a Molotov. You can carry up to 4 grenades. So if you don't have enough to buy all of that, then it becomes a strategic decision. Do you want to partially buy and get a cheaper gun and fight for the round still, or do you just want to hold off on buying anything and save for the round? As a CT, your full buy is going to be one of the M4s. These were originally the same gun. You could just take off the silencer. Now they're 2 different guns, but you can have both in your loadout now. They have a different price, and there's some other trade-offs. The silencer is pretty important as far as not appearing on the enemy radar and how it shoots through smoke. So that's typically the rifle that's used by the CTs, as well as the armor, a diffuse kit, and the grenades. So it's a little more expensive on the CT side typically, but that's part of the game balance there. So there's a sniper rifle called the AWP or the op, which is heavily used. Typically you'll see one person on each team take op and cover the long angles. There's a less expensive sniper rifle called the Scout that is sometimes used in budget situations. There's more expensive sniper rifles, the auto sniper. There's a different one for each team, and those are typically not used. They're just considered overpriced. There's some other weapons like the AUG, and for the T's, the SG553. They're just not typically used. Typically, you're going to see 4 AKs and 1 op on a team. Or if they're doing a 4-SPA, you'll see just a variety of different mid-tier items. Just depending on personal preference, really. So a lot of personal preference in the game, a lot of options, but still kind of firmly in that meta of like 4 rifles and 1 sniper. Kits on the CTs as much as they can. Armor and helmets whenever you can afford it, but CTs will often forgo the helmets late in the game because the Ts are all one-shotting on headshots anyways. So that is the loadouts. There's also music kits available for purchase, some badges and pins you can earn, and you can set your graffitis here as well. Alright, there's an in-game store. Here's where you see your progress on leveling up, and I see that I've already claimed my case and skin for the week, and I passed on my 2 graffitis available this week. There's a viewer pass available for the upcoming major that's starting this weekend. So this is a limited time event here that offers some skins that'll have stickers. So again, kind of random draw from the cases you get what skins you could potentially get. But it's also based on the pickups here, where you pick which teams you think will be advancing to the elimination stage and then the playoffs. So in the store here, you can purchase some tools. You can get a storage unit. This holds 1,000 items, keeps your inventory organized, and you buy those for $2. You get a name tag for $2. I thought that was $1. Oh well. $2, I guess. Yeah, and then stat track swap tool to swap the stat track of a weapon there. And I don't think I mentioned stat tracks before, but if we look at this is a stat track weapon, and it has the counter there that counts up as I get kills. So each kill I get this little increment there. So that's the store there. I can look at some different things here. There's patches you can apply to your agent And I've got some patches on my agents here. Although apparently you can't rotate them, so how do you see your patches? Okay, toggle camera angle. Oh, it's just zoom in and out. They're changing this stuff. But this is a patch on his chest here, little dragon thing. So just additional cosmetic stuff you can do. So there's also the option to trade up. If you trade up 10 items of the same quality, then that's the color, the rarity. Then you can get one random thing of the next highest rarity. And that's one additional way that skins enter the ecosystem. Aside from that, everything is from cases that are opened. Cases are all dropped in-game as a reward for playing for free, but then they cost $250 to open. So it's a great business model for Valve. They drop the cases as a reward for playing. They'll eventually make $250 off of that when it's opened, but it's a reward for the player. They can open it or sell it or keep it, and it's just up to them. It's just a great system for everybody. You can also purchase sticker capsules here. So this would be $1, and then it would contain one of these stickers at these lower rarities or up to these higher rarities. Some of these higher rarity stickers are really cool. So a pretty cool sticker there. It's got this lenticular changes when you move. So it looks pretty cool when it's applied to the weapon there. So sticker capsules are free to open, but they cost $1. Cases are free, but they cost $250 to open. Okay, so actually playing the game. So originally, Counter-Strike was only played on what we would now call community servers. Since CSGO, Counter-Strike is primarily played on Valve's own first-party servers. This gives us official rankings and other benefits that come with that. Matchmaking parties, it's really great. And it's hard to imagine going back. I can just solo queue here. It'll pair me up with 5 people of the same rank, 4 other people of the same rank against another team. And in this mode, we'll vote on the map we'll play on, and play that way. And it's the most serious. But let's start with some of the least serious ways to play. There is an in-game server browser here, but currently it's broken. Is it even going to open here? So instead of this, you need to use a website instead. So there's this website, CS2browser.com. This browses community servers. Here's the server browser, but it's not working. What you can do is add the servers to your favorites. The favorites still works fine. So I've got a bunch of surf servers, bunny hop servers and stuff in the favorites here. And you just refresh this and join these as needed. So there's zombie mode, which is pretty popular in the community servers. It goes up to 64 players. It's pretty insane. So everybody starts as CTs trying to escape this long maze of a map, and a few people start as Ts with only knives, and each person that they stab becomes a zombie. And the CTs win if some people escape, and the zombies win if they kill everybody. So that's a pretty fun, really casual way to play there. The next most popular mode is surfing. There's several surf servers, some of these 24/7s, and some other like rotations on different surf maps. I don't think I'm going to go into that here. If you know, you know. Then there's also Surf Combat, which is Surf Combat. That's not as popular. There's only a couple servers of that going, and they're mostly Russians on there, but they're pretty good and pretty cool. So check out these combat surf servers if you're really hardcore. The next most popular mode is Bunny Hops and KZ. KZ is a climb map, so it's kind of like parkour, agility, kind of climb up a bunch of different obstacles and make it to the end of the map. And the bunny hop is bunny hop mode. I think might as well jump onto one of these and show it off here. So I'm just connecting to this random community server here, running this bhop color here. All right, so bunny hop map here. Cheese that a bit. Who cares about bunny hop? So really, we got to gain some speed here. On this mode, I could hold down space here on this server, and there we go. Oh. All right, so I gained some speed here. There we go, and I think I can keep my speed through the teleports there. So really chill mode here. You see there's a couple other people on here, but you know, these kind of servers, you just kind of do your own thing. Really chill. Too much speed going into these. Some of these. Not enough on this one. Maybe. Oh. Right, yeah. So that's bunny hop mode. Really chill. All right. So then the next. Next mode after like these custom, you can also, it's worth noting there, you can put a map on the workshop and then just load it up even in a lobby with your friends, which is a really cool feature. So you can just form a lobby and then start up whatever map and it'll start on a Valve server. So then there's the official Valve servers. So we have a deathmatch mode. Where you can choose which map you want to play on, and then jump on a deathmatch game, and it just instantly respawns you in different spots around the map, and you just kill everybody. It's some people like it for a warm-up, some people like it for more than a warm-up, but it's a mode that's available here. There's also arms race mode. There's just 2 maps available for it right now, but we're expecting some more of those coming soon. Arms race is also known as gun game. You start with the strongest rifles in the game, and you get 2 kills with each gun, and each time you get 2 kills, your gun downgrades to a lower weapon, and you eventually end up with just pistols and shotguns, and finally only a knife, and the first person to get that knife kill at the end wins. So that's gun game or arms race. That just got added in pretty recently. And there's a few other modes here that are kind of missing that we're expecting, that were present in CSGO, that we're expecting to be added back in here to CS2 at some point pretty soon here. So that would be like a Scout's Knives mode, maybe retakes only, where it just starts. It's a cool little mode, 4v3, 4 CTs start just outside of the bomb sites, and 3 Ts start on the bomb site planting each round. So it's real quick rounds, retakes only. And they had a demolition mode, they called it, which was a really quick mode with 1 site instead of the 2 sites on the bigger map. Just the 1 site, much faster paced gameplay. And they had a mode called Danger Zone, which was a battle royale, and that was really cool too. So Counter-Strike battle royale, the way it was at the end of CSGO was teams of 2. Servers of 20 on this big map, huge map. 20 people would drop in, and then it's last team standing. So we're kind of hoping for a return of that. That's not guaranteed at all. Valve doesn't tell ahead of time what they're working on or what's coming to the game, really. But it seems like they're trying to add in all the modes that were present in CSGO that are currently not here in CS2 as we complete this transition to CS2. So you may see a few more modes coming here. And then there's the actual casual mode. So casual play is going to be 10 versus 10. Really good way to get into the game. You just choose your map there. You join up here, and then it drops me onto a server here. Nobody on it. Yeah, so just bots. But if anybody else joins, so dead unfortunately right now for this map right now. but it's just that easy to get on here. So that's the casual modes. Then for competitive, you can do, this is like unranked competitive style. So again, those 10 maps here. And you can play like practice. So this will be 5v5. And I think friendly fire is still off on this. I'm not exactly sure how practice competitive mode works. But on the casual mode, you got no friendly fire and no clip on your teammates. And you can talk to the other team while you're dead. Whereas on the competitive modes, you're just talking to your teammates. Whether you're alive or dead, you can talk to your teammates, but that's it. There's also Wingman mode, which is 2v2. There's currently 4 maps available, and these are just kind of sub-parts of these larger maps. They're just one site. So in the case of Nuke, there's an upstairs site and a downstairs site. And you're just playing the downstairs site each time, 2v2. So it's a cool little mode. It works pretty well, actually. It really feels like a smaller Counter-Strike. But there used to be some extra designated specific 2v2 maps. Alright, my cat brings mice into the house, and I had a dang mice run by, and that kind of lost my train of thought there. So Wingman maps, we're expecting a couple more designated, like real, just solely Wingman maps that were in CSGO, or maybe some new Wingman maps coming in, and that's the 2v2 Wingman mode. So then there's a competitive mode available. We can play any of the 10 5 versus 5 maps, and you choose which map you want, and you queue, and this is ranked play for that map. And then you have sorry, yes, this is still practice mode. It's a little confusing here, so I'm glad I'm covering it here. Just because I can even confuse myself. So on practice mode, you can play practice Wingman or practice competitive on any of the 10 maps. And then when you turn to matchmaking, that's when we're playing actual ranks, and we see the queues here. Oh yeah, so yeah, practice is against bots solely, is it? I think. Yeah. So yeah, so here we can jump on our casual like 10v10 just 2 here, just to show that off real quick, and then we can do ranked matchmaking 2v2s, ranked matchmaking 5 versus 5s on any of those 10 maps, and then the premier mode is the highest. That's where you form as a party and then vote on which map to play. That uses just 7 maps. That's the competitive map pool. See, this guy's got the music kit there, you hear?
My shit creaming.
Everybody's got skins and stuff. Not everybody, just the pros.
Let's roll.
And so this is casual. I get free armor, 10v10. We can run through each other. You can talk to the enemy when you're dead. It's just generally casual.
Grenade out. Grenade out.
Oh.
Grenade out. Flashbang.
So that's 10v10 casual. And then the premier mode where you're playing on these 7 maps that are the competitive maps in the competitive pool. Valve sets these themselves, obviously in the game here, but then that applies to essentially all tournaments. So looking at the competitive pool here, there's a kind of a mixture of old and new maps here. Nuke is a unique map. It's one of the oldest maps in the game, where you've got just a bomb site in the center of the map, kind of, with the upstairs and the downstairs sites. So it's kind of an untraditional layout and kind of unique, but you can kind of specialize in that, and a lot of teams do at a high level. A well-organized team on that map is really hard to play against. So it's a lot of fun to watch at a high level. It's one of my favorite maps to watch, actually, competitively. There's two other really old maps, Inferno and Mirage. Inferno we looked at earlier, that's been in the game for decades, and then Mirage was originally a map called DECPL Strike, and then there was another map called DECPL Mill, which became Tuscan, but Tuscan isn't in the game right now. But those were created as competitive maps originally in the original Counter-Strike, and then they were remade as more generic, without the branding, maps that are now part of the game, like Mirage there, so it's just an absolute staple in the game at this point. But maybe one of the most understood, which kind of makes it can be boring and stalemate-ish. Inferno kind of used to have that problem, but they gave it a nice little refresh just recently, so that's kind of wide open again. So then from the early CSGO era, there's kind of a focus on the gameplay of the maps, and verticality was kind of a big element. It makes for interesting gameplay. We have these two maps, Vertigo and Overpass, which both feature this kind of verticality element, which makes for really quick rotations on those maps, and it's really interesting gameplay there. Both of those maps are favorites of people's to play. They're a lot of fun to play, both of them. But the trade-off there is that they can be confusing to watch. The overlay radar screen, it isn't so clean as just a flat layout of a traditional 3-lane map. So it's not as spectator-friendly, especially for new players. So when we move into the more modern or hyper-modern maps, we reach this Ancient and Anubis, are the two newest maps in the game, with kind of an older theme. And they're nearly completely flat layouts, just no overlapping verticals with overpasses or underpasses or anything generally on these maps, so it's much more spectator friendly. You just intuitively look at the map and see what's going on, and that's kind of the hallmark of these most recent maps and the direction that the game's going for a spectator game. Okay, to finally wrap this up with a quick conversation about the competitive scene in the game, we'll look at this Liquipedia. It's this community wiki here, where we can see all kinds of information about ongoing matches. These are matches going on live right now with the Twitch links to watch in on these from different levels here, which we'll discuss quickly here, as well as the major upcoming tournaments here. So this is where you can see all the results and stuff going on. Like I said, we got this tournament coming out this weekend, just 3 days from now. And all these results will be in here. So Counter-Strike is very fortunate that it has the healthiest competitive scene of any esport. And the reason why is because it existed outside of Valve for a long time. It's not that Valve didn't want a competitive scene. They were fine enough with it. They knew it was driving the game success, but I think they almost intentionally left their hands off because it was doing fine. And when they did kind of get involved with CSGO, it was to bring things together and start some more structure there. So what we have now in 2024, we are still going through kind of a transition to CS2, as well as Valve has put in some new rules as to what types of invitations and stuff tournaments are allowed to have, just to give it a more even playing field. And so things will be changing a little bit throughout this year and into next still. But the current scene as it is now. Okay, so ESEA is the largest online league. They have several tiers available. So this is the ongoing, or this is the previous season here. At the open level, they have different geographic divisions, and then any team is eligible to join that. So anybody can join the open. You play at the open, and then you can move up to the intermediate level. You do well enough there, you can move up to the main, move up to advanced, and then from advanced you can move up to the challenger. So not every region has every division here, and it's possible to skip divisions depending on placements and stuff like that. But generally, that's the idea: is this promotion and relegation of this structure here. So it kind of forms a pyramid. Ultimately, at the top, it goes to Pro League. ESL Pro League, there's only one in the world, and so the top teams from each of these 3 challenger leagues are invited to the Pro League. It's held twice a year in person in Malta. It's like a 3-week tournament that they hold in Malta. That's ESL Pro League. So that's a top level event. Really cool to see that. But even the challenger level games can be considered like really top level watchable esports. So the ESL and ESEA kind of form you can think of a pyramid or a pillar in my mixed analogies here of Counter-Strike here. The next pillar there is going to be the IEM events. So Intel Extreme Masters, Intel's been a long time supporter of Counter-Strike, and the way their events are kind of structured as yearly events in certain cities. And they have kind of crown jewel events, Katowice and Cologne. Cologne's a city in Germany. Katowice is a city in Poland. And then they have some other lower tier, slightly smaller events. These Dallas and Atlanta and Sydney, and it kind of goes down to smaller events and sort of a pyramid there as well. And then there's some local tournaments and stuff that feed into that. So this is kind of looking at as a structure or a pillar of LAN tournaments that also comprises the competitive scene. The third pillar here is Blast. Blast is a relative newcomer to the scene. They have a yearly structure here where they do groups and like a showdown in the spring and fall, and then it all leads up to a world final every year. So it's just a third completely separate organization of top tier Counter-Strike. You see where they've drawn the teams into this world final for last world final off of their spring and fall finals and off of the other big events. So we're kind of transitioning away from anybody being allowed to have like partner teams or franchise teams, and just purely into invites are based on performance and a unified ranking system. So it's kind of a small detail, but it'll make the scene even that much better. And so what we have is those 3 separate esports organizations. They're all conducting top tier pro Counter-Strike events, and all of those schedules kind of interweave all year, and so there's not a lot of overlap, but there's always Counter-Strike events almost every weekend. There's top level Counter-Strike events being played. On top of all that is the majors. The majors are official Valve sponsored events. They're held hopefully twice a year now, and they're independent of all those other tournaments that I've talked about so far. They start with open qualifiers, so anybody can just register and join and play in the qualifiers. Play some brutal single elimination qualifiers into these RMR events, or into the closed qualifiers, and then eventually into the RMR events. Eventually leading into the majors here, which, like I said, we're getting ready for one this weekend, so that's pretty exciting. But all the top teams here, stacks of money, but the real money is in the stickers. They'll have in-game stickers, and the teams will get a cut of that. And that's millions of dollars per team. So that's the majors as kind of like the very top level, on top of the like the three pillars of different organizers in the esports scene. So that's what makes Counter-Strike have the healthiest esports scene. Every other esport or traditional sport in the world essentially has one league. It's just typically a franchise league with just certain teams and no way for other teams to join, and only a few paths for players to join. And it's just not as healthy if it's entirely dependent on the video game publisher. Here we do have Valve involved at the major levels, but the competitive scene really exists. Outside of that, the majors are just kind of the icing on the cake of it all. So I don't even know how long this video's been, but I think I covered about everything I wanted to. Ask below in the comments if you got any questions. Happy to answer them. And also post below in the comments if you got any feedback or suggestions on this guide. I'm sure it was a bit rambling, but hopefully it wasn't at too high of a level or too low of a level for some people to really enjoy and take a lot from this. And I hope it was just like me explaining this game to you for an hour, which some people that might be exactly what they need to get the knowledge and confidence that they need to step into this game. It's truly the game of a lifetime. It's the premier esport. There's just no question about it. Every other esport on Earth wishes they were Counter-Strike, tries to be Counter-Strike, pretends they're Counter-Strike. Only Counter-Strike is Counter-Strike. And that's all there is to that. Thanks for watching.